You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRocque.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. I hope that you're doing well and enjoying your fall. Started raining pretty good here in Seattle. So as expected, rainy season. It's started raining. It's probably going to rain till May or something like that. So recently I had a meeting with a client and a pastor. She just wanted me to share some opportunities that the church could have if they were to proceed with a policy or how a policy could help their church or other churches. And so I thought I would go into this topic one more time. Last time I spoke about this was about a year and a half ago, or almost a year and a half ago. So I thought I would share some more because I feel like there's some other information that I did not share last time. So to start off, when I was building this presentation, I used some of my material from when I'm teaching from scratch. Someone who why would I want to do this? They just have no idea why they would want to do this. And of course, there are so many great reasons. But one of them that I think a lot of people don't focus on or think about when they are learning this and looking into this, it's not necessarily top of mind, is the whole idea of banking and what banks are doing with our money and how we can do the same thing. And so I found this slide that has information that a colleague of mine had acquired from his brother, who was a banker, and he was attending an annual banking meeting. And so we got this information from this banking meeting, which was a long time ago. It was in 1992, a meeting with the American Bankers Association. And the statement says, savings are a vital link in our national economy. In order for businesses to get started and for individuals to borrow for needed items, banks need money to loan. And the fact is, individual savings accounts like yours are a prime source of that money. Because of a multiplier effect, every dollar in the bank becomes $6 available for loans and investments. Now, again, this was back in 1992 when they were having this meeting. Since then, the multiplier became 10, and I believe even higher than that now. And so that's really cause for concern because when we put our money in the bank, the banking system is able to multiply that, basically creating funds out of thin air and then loaning them out to other people, other business owners, or people who are trying to make a large purchase. And so our money is being used to be loaned. And so we send our money to the bank wraps it up with interest, and then they sell it back to us. So when you choose to build your cash value or build wealth inside of a whole life policy, you choose it as sort of a savings vehicle for yourself and a place where you can finance your future purchases. You're participating in a company and in an industry that does not participate in fractional reserve banking. They are not taking the funds that you're sending in as premium and then multiplying that out by some large number and loaning out more than they have on hand. That's not what they're doing. So by redirecting your savings dollars or some of your savings dollars into whole life contracts as opposed to the bank, you are taking away the banking system's power or being a participant to taking away some of that power to keep them from inflating the money supply. So while being focused on the personal benefit, how a policy personally benefits you, how you're able to borrow against it, how the funds continue to grow and you can recycle your money and use it again and again throughout your life, and then again in your retirement years, ultimately leaving a death benefit to loved ones or a charity. So all these things are great personal reasons for getting into the infinite banking concept and building that and utilizing that process for yourself. But in addition to enjoying those benefits and many more, might I add, you are also helping the country by not being a participant or less of a participant in the inflating of our money supply, which helps the nation as a whole. So you're able to access the funds anytime for your own financing needs, for any purpose. And that brings me again to one of my favorite Nelson Nash quotes, which is you finance everything you buy. You either pay interest to someone else or you give up interest that you could have earned by paying cash. There are no exceptions. That whole life policy can allow you to borrow funds when needed, no questions asked, no application, no credit check, and while the full value of your cash value account continues to earn and grow with guarantees and dividends, and you're not contributing to the theft of fractional reserve banking. Okay, switching gears here, talking about churches. So, first of all, whether a church plans to utilize a whole life policy for the process of the infinite banking concept or not, a whole life policy can be amazing for the church. So, who can be insured? Well, first of all, the pastor, of course, can be insured. We also could insure ministry leaders and even donors of the church. There are so many benefits to insuring a pastor at your church, especially the head pastor, because it can provide a pool of cash from which you could bless that pastor once they are through their service at the church and they're no longer going to be preaching every Sunday. But we want to still bless them, honor them for their time and all of the hours and love, sweat, and tears they put into the church and the people with some sort of retirement funds, which unfortunately, with a lot of churches, doesn't end up happening very well. So it's a vehicle that you could contribute to participate in a retirement funding system for the pastor that when they get to that time, some can be distributed or some other plan to distribute funds to the pastor for their retirement. Also, it can be arranged that if something happens to the pastor prior to their retirement or even after, an amount of death benefit would be given to the family, just again for all their years of service as a work benefit. And then if they were to pass before retirement, of course, very tragic, but if the pastor was to pass before he hit those retirement years, those funds could also help during a time of tragedy and help to carry the church over while they are seeking a new pastor to take that person's place. And in the end, when the pastor does eventually pass, the church will basically be reimbursed for all the funds that they've paid into the contract that they then were able to help pay out some retirement funds for the pastor. Or the church will be reimbursed for all the premiums paid and then some. And the whole time while the pastor was there and preaching and all of that, they were able to utilize that cash value for other things, other purposes. So in addition to pastors, ministry leaders could also be insured at the church. And those cash values for either pastors or ministers could be used for anything the church needs, whether it's a building project, remodeling within the church, expensive maintenance that's happening. Maybe they're buying a new church and they need money for a down payment or to be able to purchase the church. Obviously, if you're buying a whole new building, you're going to need to have been building up premiums for a while to have enough cash in there to outright buy a building, or just depending on your premium size. But the cash is there for any purpose. And at the same time, it could be building up to help fund a retirement benefit to a beloved pastor and protect the family as well if something happens to that pastor or when something happens to that pastor. And then in the end, the church gets reimbursed all that money. So they're not out any dollars. In fact, they will receive more money than they had paid into it to receive all these benefits. And in addition, just like with any policy, the church has complete flexibility on how to pay the policy back, when to pay it back, how they're going to replenish the funds. And so it can totally flow with donor donations or tithing that they receive. They can replenish the policy however it works best for them. And with these types of policies, because they are tax exempt, being a religious organization, they also can heavily build this policy with lots of paid up additions, more than a regular individual can, without causing it to become taxable, without causing it to become a modified endowment contract. And finally, a policy can even be purchased on the life of top donors, because maybe that donor wants to continue giving, wants to give their last charitable donation. This is a great idea for a donor who realizes just how important their donation is to the church and wants to leave a final gift at their passing. And there are different ways for the donor to give this death benefit at their passing as well. There's some different options. As always, thank you for listening. If you happen to be a part of a church that you feel would be a good fit for something like this, or are a person or business owner that would like to get started with the infinite banking concept and would like to partner with me, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at Valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. Hope you enjoy another beautiful fall week. Take care.